In this demonstration, we are going to review the Using CSS for Design homework assignment and go over some of the basics behind creating a CSS page. To start off with, we're going to create a brand new HTML page in Dreamweaver. Now I'm using Dreamweaver CS5 here, so based on the version that you're using, we may have some differences. I'm going to save this page as styles.html. I'm going to do so in my COMW-100 folder. That's I've got mine under my desktop, but it really doesn't matter where yours is at. And of course your COMW-100 folder is within your public HTML folder. Alright, next I'm going to type heading 1, heading 2, paragraph, link, class align center, class color red, and ID yellow bold. I'm going to save my file. Okay, under my CSS styles, I'm going to right click and select New. I also could have done that by clicking the tag box over on the bottom here. Alright, so my selector name is going to be, my selector is going to be H1. It's going to be a tag, H1. So we're going to be modifying the tag H1, and we're going to do this in a new style file. So we're going to click, instead of this document, we're going to say new style sheet. So I've changed this to tag H1 and new style sheet file. I'll click OK. And now it wants me to create my style sheet. So it's going to be my style sheet, and it's going to create as a .css file. Okay, for this we are going to make sure that the font family is Times New Roman. And you can see that it lists out 3 different font types. So therefore, if the computer that's viewing this does not have Times New Roman, then it'll go to Times, then it'll go to Serif. So it's providing some different options, and that way we know what it'll look like no matter how limited their computer environment might be. Font size, we're going to select 36. And we have the option of pixels, points, percent, but for us we're going with pixels. Font weight is going to be bold. Color. Now we could see all different kinds of colors here, but I'm just going to type it in. So pound F60. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to highlight heading 1. And we can see that under target rule, it doesn't exist. If I go to HTML though, and I look at format and select heading 1, it changed it to the heading or the style that we created. And if I want to review what's in there, I click over on the right hand side, there's my style sheet, and I click on H1. So the color is orange, Times New Roman, 36 point bold. So I can see that that exists. Alright, next we're going to create a new rule for heading 2. So I'm going to right click on my style sheet and select New. So it's going to be a tag for H2. It's going to be in my style sheet.css, so we're good there. And now for this one, we're going to go with Comic Sans, 16-point font size. Color, we could select one or we can type it in. So CF0. And I'll click OK. Now I'm going to highlight heading 2. Under Format, heading 2. So there's my heading 2 format. I can always verify it by clicking on it, and over here I can see what headings or what styles apply. And what we're doing here is we are overwriting or overruling the basic formats within an HTML file, and we're doing that through our style sheet. Next, we're going to highlight paragraph. We can go to right-click, CSS styles, and new, or we could right-click on the style sheet and select new. We have the same option as we did previously, just showing you different means to do this. We're going to be modifying a tag. It's going to be the P tag, so we're good there, and it's going to be in my style sheet. Click OK. Alright, for this one, we're going to be using Arial as our font. It's going to be 12 point, or 12 pixels. And the color is pound 333. I click Apply, or I can click OK. And here I can see my format as paragraph. Now I'm not seeing the color change because the color is pretty much the color black. We'll get back to that in a few minutes. Alright, so now we're going to make a link. So I'm going to highlight the word link. I'm going to make this a link to aboutme.html, which I just highlighted. I went down to my properties for HTML and aboutme.html, and we can see that it's blue underlined link. Now I'm going to go to my page properties. So if I click on page properties, I'm going to change my link color. So I'm going to go to links, my link color to pound 090, my rollover link to pound C60, my visited link color to pound CCC, my active link to pound FCO. Whoops, it must be a pound FC0. There we go. Okay, I also have the option here of always underlining or not. I can change my fonts, I can change sizes. I've got a lot more options than we're exploring right here. So now I'm going to click OK. And we can see that the link is now green. And it'll change colors based on when we click on it or whatever our other activities are. Or even if we put our mouse over, we'll see that it changes. Okay. So over on style, we can see that we have a link, visited, so on and so forth. Now we attached that to our page. Well, we want to include that in our style sheet. So I'm going to right click on that style. So maybe I have to right click on a link. There we go. So I right clicked on the link and move CSS rules, and then I can say where I want to move it to. Now of course I could have created these in my style sheet, but I'm showing you how you can actually create a style within a page and then move it to an external sheet. So I'm going to right click on each one, move to my style sheet. There we go. Okay, so we have that taken care of. Make sure that you keep them all in the order in which you've created them, otherwise they won't work in the correct fashion. Okay, so now we're going to go to the CSS style sheet and we're going to create our own class. So far we've only modified existing classes within HTML. So I'm going to right click on my style sheet and select new. Here it's going to be a new class. I'm going to call it Align Center. And this is similar to the selector names that you've been typing in as we've gone through our other assignments. I've been saying, hey, select whatever you want, because we just weren't ready yet to learn these topics or skills. And now that we're there, when Dreamweaver asks you for a selector name, you can make something much more relevant to your assignment. We can see that it's going to my style sheet. Click OK. For this, our font family is going to be Arial. Our font size is going to be 12. Our color will be pound 333. Next, I'm going to click on Block. Text align, center. This is actually what truly centers our text. And then I'm going to click OK. And I can see that I've got Align Center as a class within my styles.css. So I'm going to highlight Class Align Center. And for this one, I got to go to my CSS. So under Properties, I click on CSS and Apply Class, and I can see right there Align Center. So now we have Class Align Center. Next, we're going to go with a color red. So I'm going to right-click on my style sheet, New, Style with the selector name of color red under my style sheet. And I'm going to change the color to red. You can see that I use the selector instead of typing it in. And that's normally going to be what you do unless you're trying to match a logo color. Click OK. Now I'm going to highlight Class Color Red. And under Target Rule, I should see color red appear. So now that's formatted appropriately. Next, we have selectors. So, here we're going to create a new CSS rule relating to ID. And we're going to call this pound yellow bold in my stylesheet.css. And here we're going to change the font weight to bold. Change the color to pound FC0, which is yellow. And we'll click OK. Now I'm going to highlight ID yellow bold. When I go to HTML, you can see that yellow bold is an option within. Alright, so I've got my style sheet. I've got my web page. I'm going to go to File, Save All. Next, I'm going to create a new page called AboutMe.html. I have already linked to this page. So I've got AboutMe.html down here. I'm going to create that page. So I'm going to go to File, New, Blank HTML page. I'm immediately going to save it, just so I'm sure that it's working. So AboutMe.html. On this page, I'm going to just add some information about me. So I'll put my name next. Little info about me. So through the magic of video, I have put in all of my text. So my header is going to be Robert Bernard. Next, a little info about me. And then my name is Robert Bernard, and I'm Professor of Information Technology. The demonstration that I'm providing is to help students create style sheets and apply them to web pages. Then I'm going to have a link to go back to home. Alright, so I'm going to apply some of my styles here. But wait a minute, where are my styles? I need to actually create a link to my style sheet. I've created a style sheet. There's no reason for me to go through those efforts once again. So here, there's a little chain, and I can click on that for Attach Style Sheet. I want to link it, so I'm going to click Browse. It's in the same location as my current assignment, and I'm not selecting Import. Import would take those styles and embed them into the current web page, and I don't want that. I want to have one style sheet for multiple web pages. And I'll show you the real benefit to that in a few minutes. I'll click OK. Now, that style sheet that I had created is now available to me in this web page. So I can highlight my name, want that to be heading 1. Next, heading 2. Text, I can go to class, make it paragraph. And then for home, I'm going to go back to HTML and make that a link to styles.html. I could click my folder and also just double click on it if that's my preferred method. And I can see that all the styles that I wanted are automatically applied to this page because I have access to that style sheet. I'm going to save all. I'm going to test my pages. So I'll go to my public HTML folder, double click on index.html, and make this the right size for your viewing pleasure. Whoops. Try that again. There we go. Okay, I'll click on COMW-100. Whoops, I forgot to update my homework page to link to my style sheet. So, I need to go back to Dreamweaver. Open my index.html, my COMW-100 folder. Highlight homework 4, and make a link to styles.html. I'll save that. I can even close it. I'll go back to my web page and hit refresh since I've saved. And I can see the homework 4 link available. I'll click on that. Here's my styles page. And why isn't my link green? Well, we've already been to the page. If I click on link, I can see that that's gray as well. And the reason behind that is we've already visited these pages. If they were not in my system, they would show as green the first time. If I put my mouse over them, I can see the color change. There's also other options where I could have it underlined, not underlined. I could change it to bold. I could change the font. Many different options available. I can see that my classes all are in working order. I click on link. It's about me. I click on home. It takes me back to my other page. If I right-click on my page and select View Source, I can view what it did in on my browser. Now, one thing I probably should have done was include a title for my document. That was pretty irresponsible of me. But I can see that it links to mystylesheet.css. That's good. Next, I can see that all my text is there and that my formatting is pointing to elements of my style sheet. If I go to my next page, I can view the source there. And it's the same situation. I'm linking to my style sheet, and there's my information. So, what's the benefit behind this? Well, if I had hundreds of web pages on my website, and I wanted to change the heading color, so heading 1, it's orange on both pages. I'm going to Dreamweaver, go to heading 1 in my style sheet, and I could change that color. So we're going to go with, I would say blue instead, but we try to avoid having the same color as people expect for a hyperlink. So we'll go green. So I change it to green. You can see it automatically changed this page. If I go over here, it automatically changed that page. I'll do a save all. Go back to my website. Refresh. Done. I've updated my website. And that's a real advantage of using these style sheets. You can create a web page, then you can modify just that style sheet. So for example, if you wanted to make a winter theme and have a blue background with snowflakes, you could do that. And then change just that CSS file in the spring and put flowers on there. And you don't have to go through and modify your entire site. The consistency behind this I find to be absolutely wonderful. Go back to my style sheet, and it doesn't matter what page I'm on when I do this. I'll go back and select an orange-like color, just to be similar to what we started off with. That looks more red. Yeah, close enough. File, save all. Go back to my document. And there we go. I encourage you to play around with this a little bit. I find it to be a really nice process of making your web pages work. Okay, on to our final thing, which is viewing the style sheet. So I can see source code and my style sheet.css. Here's our styles. So we can see here what it created in the background. So that style sheet contains all of this information. If I wanted to modify something, I certainly could go through Dreamweaver or write in my editor here. If I wanted it to be 50 points instead of 36, I can just change that, save, go back to my web page, and it changed it. I'll put it back to 36. I can also add other things here too. So for example, under my second heading, I can say font, weight, and here I could say bold. And it uses a semicolon at the end. That's just a requirement of CSS. Go to File, Save, go back to my page, refresh, and it made this bold. And that's overall how you create CSS. After that, we need to make sure that we upload this to our web space, but that concludes creating CSS for our homework assignment.